So what we can do when we find these solutions to this type of equation is we can graph it. And these types of equations are called linear equations in two variables. And this is called the standard form of a linear equation. And it says some type of ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a and b are not equal to 0. So that is my definition of the standard form. So an example is 2x plus 3y equals 6. Okay? And this is called standard form. Later on we're going to see something called slope-intercept form, and that's in the form y equals mx plus b. We'll learn more about that later. But right now we're looking at standard form. So standard form means you have some x on one side plus some y on one side equals just a number on the other side. That's called standard form. So if I want to graph, here are my steps to graphing. Okay? First step, you're going to find 3 ordered pairs of x and y and make a table. And remember, you can choose your x or you can choose your y. You choose one and then you solve for the other. Then you'll plot those points. You connect those points and make sure you draw arrows at the ends of the points, because you have not picked every single possible point that works into that equation. You've just chosen 3. And to show that there are infinitely many solutions, you draw arrows at the end. Okay. So let's take a look at an example. Here's our equation, 2x plus 4y equals 12. So if I put in 0 for my x, I can solve this and I get 2 times 0 plus 4 times y equals 12. So 2 times 0 is 0. That leaves me with 4y equals 12. So y is going to be equal to 3. And you can solve each of these on the side of the paper or off in the corner. If I put 0 in for y, I like the number 0 because those are easy numbers to work with. So I'm going to always look for the easiest way to solve things. So that's going to leave me with 2x plus 4 times 0 is equal to 12. Well, 4 times 0 is 0, so that leaves me with 2x equals 12. So that leaves me with x equals 6. And then let's say I put in 2 for x. So I get 2 plus 2 times 4 times y equals 12. This is going to be 4 plus 4y equals 12. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I'm left with 4y equals 8. Divide both sides by 4. That gives me y equals 2. So when x was 2, I got y equal to 2. I'm going to come over and plot all those points. So when x was 0, y was 3. When x was 6, y was 0. When x was 2, y was 2. I connect those points. I put arrows at the end. And there I have graphed my line. Well, sometimes we might see an equation in what we call slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is in the form y equals something x plus something. So y will be by itself on one side, and then there will be something times x plus something else. Or sometimes this will be 0, but there has to be the y and the x, and that's called slope-intercept form. So again, I can make my table. And usually I'm going to choose something in the negative and 0 and something positive for x, but I don't have to. But I chose to in this case. That kind of shows me what's happening all over the graph. So here I'm going to substitute in a negative 2 for my x. So 2 times negative 2 plus 1, that gives me negative 4 plus 1. That gave me a negative 3. So when x was negative 2, y is a negative 3. I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So 2 times 0 plus 1 equals 1. There's another point. I'm going to plug in a 2 for x. Plugged in 2 times 2 gave me 4 plus 1. That gave me 5. So I now have 3 points. I plot those 3 points on my graph. I connect those points, and there I am. Now sometimes you might be given something in standard form, like 2x plus 3y equals 6, and told to put it into slope-intercept form. So to do that, I'm going to solve for y. So when I do that, I first subtract 2x from both sides, because that will move that 2x to the other side of the equation, so I subtracted it. Or I want to get y by itself to have slope-intercept, so I divide by 3. If I divide this side by 3, I have to divide this whole other side by 3. You want to be careful. On the exam 1, some of you were only dividing part of the equation on the other side by this number. You would want to divide the whole thing by 3. So if I divide this whole thing by 3, well, that's just like adding fractions. When we add them, we put them together. In this case, we're actually going to take our fractions and pull them apart. So this would be negative 2/3 x plus 6 divided by 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that's how we get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. Well, now I can use this, pick some points for x. So I picked a negative 3, stuck it in, solved it. Stuck in 0 for x, put in my point, solved it, got 2 for y. Put in 3 for x, solved it, got 0 for y. Then again, I can plot my point, and voila, there we go, there's our line. Okay. So let's take a look at an example.